Hi everybody! Today's episode is a very special episode because today we are venturing into a new category of business case study, which is the pharma industry. And the brand that we are decoding today is a brand that we all know about, which is Preganews. But while most of us only know Preganews as just another pharma product, what we don't know is that Preganews is almost a monopoly in its category with a market share of 82%. In fact, in the past 3 years, their market share has been increasing at a crazy rate, going from 67% in 2019 to 74% in 2020 to 79% in 2021 and 82% as of December 2021. And what is even more fascinating is that, in spite of being a market leader by such a huge margin, they are already laying the foundations to become a monopoly in the market in the next 10 years. So the question is, how did Preganews achieve such an incredible position in the market? What exactly was their business strategy? How are they preparing to become a monopoly in the market? And most importantly, what are the lessons that we need to learn from this wonderful case study? This is a story that dates back to early 2000s India. During this time, if a woman missed her periods and wanted to confirm her pregnancy, it was a very tedious procedure. She first had to go to the gynecologist, fill out forms, give her blood sample, and then wait for the pathologist to deliver the test results. This entire process took anywhere between 24 to 48 hours, and even today it costs around 600 rupees. And more than the cost, the wait time is what made the woman extremely anxious. And most importantly, it also deprived her of the much needed privacy that she wanted. This is because they had to depend on either the spouse or some other family member to go to the gynecologist. And as we all know, in the orthodox Indian household, by default there is a ton of pressure on women to get pregnant. In fact, the focus is more on getting the girl pregnant rather than understanding if the girl is even ready or even wants to get pregnant or not. And guess what? Even in 2015, India had only 40% planned births, which means 60% of the children were more likely to be born when either the girl was not emotionally ready or the house does not have enough income or many other reasons that we do not know of. On top of that, if you were an unmarried woman, things were even worse because you had to reveal your age, your marital status, and many other details at the time of the test. Now, this was both invasive and psychologically draining for the person undergoing the procedure. But this is where, ladies and gentlemen, Mankind Pharma came as a savior with a revolutionary product that we all know today as Preganews. For those who don't know, Preganews is a pregnancy test kit that lets you know if one is pregnant or not with a simple test done at home. And since they are over-the-counter pregnancy test kits, you can buy these test kits without a prescription and get the test done for pregnancy at the comfort of your home. Now, this was a revolutionary concept back then because it gave the women of India three major benefits. Number one, she could get the test done without being dependent on anyone. Secondly, the test results that used to take 24 to 48 hours could be known within just 5 minutes, and that too with 99% accuracy. And most importantly, a woman could take her time to digest the fact about her pregnancy and then decide how she wants to deal with it without being bombarded with the pressure of the relatives. And if she was unmarried, she did not have to reveal her marital status to anyone in a form and could get the test done without being scared. Now, the only concern women had with Preganews was that they were not sure how accurate the kit was. Therefore, Mankind came out with a marketing campaign with a tagline saying, "Sirf 5 minute mein sure ho jaye." And to convey this message, they roped in the then popular Balika Vadhu star Neha Marda. And this campaign turned out to be such a big hit that even today it continues to be the value proposition of Preganews. On top of that, in order to make the customers feel comfortable with taking the test at home and to help them overcome the hesitancy around using the product, Preganews pivoted to emphasize on the emotion of an expectant mother. And as we all saw, they roped in Bollywood celebrities like Shilpa Shetty, Kareena Kapoor Khan and Anushka Sharma to drive their campaign message. In fact, in one of these ads, Kareena Kapoor is shown recommending the kit to her maid that also made the campaign inclusive of the bottom of the pyramid. And guess what? Considering all the buzz that we see in India every time a popular actress gets pregnant, these campaigns not only helped Mankind increase their brand awareness, but also gave the women the confidence to take the pregnancy test at home. And because of this accurate and timely choice of their ambassadors, today Preganews is the first brand that comes to mind if a woman wishes to confirm her pregnancy. And now, it is not just a product of convenience, but also a harbinger of good news. This is how Mankind achieved a strong foothold in the minds of the Indian customers. Now the question is, if Mankind could rope in celebrities, so can other companies, right? So celebrity endorsement itself isn't a good enough factor to prevent the competitors from catching up, isn't it? So the question is, what else did Mankind do to become a dominating leader in the market, and what is it doing now to maintain its position? Well, this is where Mankind Pharma's decade-long foundation came in handy. Since 1994, Mankind worked tirelessly in building a supply chain that can reach the corners of the country. While brands like Apollo were trying to make themselves popular, particularly with the doctors, Mankind went one step ahead and tapped both the pharmacist and the doctor community together. Because they realized that the women of India will truly become independent only when their products are accessible at the nearest possible chemist shop. And this is the reason why Mankind offered the highest margins to the chemist in the entire industry. Therefore, chemists from all across the country flocked to buy Preganews. And eventually, Mankind even fostered an amazing relationship with doctors and fertility clinics with lucrative incentives and margins. This is how Preganews achieved the sweet spot in the market, wherein people who resonated with the ad went to ask Preganews from the chemist. The chemist got a ton of profit, so he started buying more Preganews kits, which increased the accessibility of the product. Eventually, the accessibility made the marketing more effective. And what I found to be absolutely stunning is that while most of us would think that Mankind achieved overnight success merely by spending money on ads, the fun fact is that it took Mankind 7 years of extensive study of the supply chain, 7 years to understand what is the optimal distribution system to balance profits with accessibility, and 7 long years to actually make a profit. Which means what? If you remember from the Maggi case study, Nestle spent decades in building an optimal profitable supply chain in India, because of which, even when Maggi disappeared for 5 months, none of the players could achieve the golden balance of profit, accessibility and customer satisfaction. And just like this, 7 years of extensive efforts by Mankind is something that is very difficult for others to replicate. And this is the biggest barrier to entry. This is how now, after 14 years of extensive efforts into marketing and distribution, Preganews has achieved a mind-boggling market share of 82% in the pregnancy test kit segment. And the catch over here is that now Mankind gives the same margins as the rest of the competitors, but the brand recall value for Preganews is so high that the customers by default ask for Preganews. As a result, today the chemists stock up Preganews just because of its brand value. Now, as students of business, when we see 82% market share and considering the fact that Preganews is such a dominating player in the market, we by default assume that Preganews doesn't have to put in efforts because it's already killing it in the market, right? Well, guess what? While most of us assume ICAN and Velocit to be Preganews' competition, the real competition for Preganews is actually the lack of awareness and the lack of penetration of pregnancy detection kits. Because if you look at the market reports, the current penetration of this entire category of self-detection kit is only 17%. Which means what? 83% of the potential customer base is far from using the product or is using an unbranded product. And considering the fact that Preganews is already a market leader, the only way to grow is to create a market and tap into the unorganized, unbranded market. And this is where, ladies and gentlemen, Preganews' rural outreach strategy comes in. Now, I'm sure most of you know this, that unplanned pregnancy is a far more recurring phenomenon in the hinterland than in urban India. And this problem becomes even worse due to lack of awareness of products and confusion around their usage. On top of that, the unorganized market is filled with products that have very less accuracy. Therefore, in order to increase their association with local women, Mankind has now tied up with NGOs and ASHA workers so that they can talk to women about different things surrounding a pregnancy and help them out in every way possible. Now, given the fact that ASHA workers are selected from the villages, women in rural India have a very strong relatability towards them and tend to listen to what they have to say rather than an Anushka Sharma ad. Now, what blew my mind is that from the business standpoint, by associating with the ASHA and Anganwadi workers, Preganews is already preparing to be a monopoly at the bottom of the pyramid and is already tapping onto a gold mine. Why? Because number one, due to lack of awareness around contraception, the need to use pregnancy detection kit is way higher in the lower economic strata of India. Secondly, since Preganews is going to be the first and perhaps the only brand that these people know of, within some time, the term Preganews is going to be directly synonymous with pregnancy detection kit. Because you see, a rural woman is rarely going to ask or even know the term pregnancy detection kit. They will just know Preganews. So when they ask the chemist only for Preganews, by default, Preganews is the only product that the local chemist will prefer to have. Now, just to give you better context, if I ask you to get a bottle of petroleum jelly, some of you might be confused. But if I ask you to get a bottle of Vaseline, all of you will know it, right? This is the power of synonymity, wherein the brand name becomes more popular than the actual product name itself. Therefore, tomorrow, even if a new player enters the market with a ton of cash, this synonymity that Preganews is laying the foundation for is something that's very, very difficult to break. And as of 2019, close to 21% of the test kits in India are being distributed by these social workers. And Mankind wants to be the first to tap into this 21% so that their foundations in the rural segment of India is laid very, very strongly. This is how Preganews is now mitigating the risk and laying the foundations to be a monopoly with their Asha and Anganwadi collaborations. And their goal is to increase the penetration of the kits from 17% to 26% by FY26. And this brings me to the most important part of the episode, and that is, as students of business, what are the study materials to help you understand the landscape of the pharma industry? Number one, just like Mankind achieved an extraordinary market share with Preganews, they have done an insane job with Manforce also. So just like we saw the culmination of marketing and accessibility with an Anushka Sharma ad and the Pharmacist Commission, try to understand how they deployed the same culmination with Manforce. Number two, even though Mankind is a market leader, instead of resting over their glory, they are now expanding the market itself. And they are doing that by spreading awareness and education through rural collaboration. Now in our context, if you see, Zerodha has done something very, very similar with Zerodha Varsity, wherein they intend to expand the number of stock market traders by giving out free education. So as a byproduct of great education, you will end up using their product. This is one of the most powerful strategies in the world of social media. So study the term content first strategy and how is it being used in the pharma industry. In this case, do study about the social good content strategy that Mankind is deploying for Preganews. And lastly, I am attaching an HBR article to help you understand the concept of segmentation. So read through that because it's got some wonderful insights that can help you understand the pharma industry better. That's all from my side today, guys. If you learned something valuable, please make sure to hit the like button in order to make YouTube Baba happy. And for more such insightful business and political case studies, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.